the UK today. It was then intercepted and also contained €40,000 worth of methamphetamine. That's it for now. We'll have more at 9.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to the AA. For great value van insurance, go online to theaa.ie.
Staying dry for the moment with isolated showers possible later on. Temperatures will drop between 11 and 15 degrees overnight. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
I believe that my life has been a journey of lessons, trials, and a lot of success, a lot of failure in equal measure. And that's why I'm here today. A refusal to give up, a refusal to quit. And I'm relishing this opportunity, so I get up to go to work every day and I'm absolutely buzzing. I'm enthusiastic and have a real zest for life and for my career at the moment, because I've waited for so long to get a break. Finally, I have the break. Destiny awaits for me on the 14th of August.
Yes, indeed. We are in the middle of a massive few weeks for Irish boxing, and this Friday at the Matchroom Fight Camp in Essex, we've got that man you just heard right there, Eric Donovan, fighting Zelfa Barrett. And I'm delighted to say that Donovan's coach and Olympic medalist Kenneth Egan is with us. Kenneth, how are you getting on?
Very good. All good out this side. Can't complain. The organisation over here is second to none. We're really looking forward to Friday night. Now, Eric has ticked all the boxes and he just wants to go out there now and just show people how good he is.
How does this week work? I presume it's one of the more unique circumstances you've ever faced in preparation for a fight.
I've never seen that like it before in my life, you know, and I think it's a privilege to be part of this, because it might never happen again, please God. But the organisation over here and the strict rules, you know, it's really good to see that people are really honed in on restrictions over here. So we got here on the Sunday night, stayed in a hotel to get in the room together. Once we come out on the Monday morning, we got tested. We had to get the separate rooms for the guts of 24 hours. You had room service, stuff like that. So you stayed in your room for the 24 hours. Once you got the green light, you're allowed to leave your room and come back into the world. You get a wristband, a black wristband, that shows that you haven't got COVID. And you're allowed to walk around the area. So we haven't been down to the fight venue yet. Everything in the hotel is here. So there's the media station, there's the gyms. There's 2 gyms here you have a choice from. One with a ring in it and then there's one with a treadmill and stuff. So we were in the gym this morning, done a light bit of pad work. You'll train again this evening then about 5:30. Just keep an eye on the way. Same again tomorrow. There's a press conference tomorrow. So every day has something different. And I was thinking the days were going to be very long, but they're not too bad at all. They're moving fairly quick. So, but yeah, he's in good shape now and he's really looking forward to it.
How is the weight looking? Is it going to be a challenging conclusion to the week?
No, everything is bang on. He's absolutely smashed it this time. The camp has been perfect. You know, he has everything in the diary. He's wrote everything down, every session, every weight check. It's perfect, absolutely perfect. You know, the check weight before he left, he had to be 4 pound over. Made that no problem. So now he's just waiting now to weigh in on Thursday, and that'll be it now. But, you know, he has been a real professional this time. Everything has just been bang on, and the commitment and the sacrifice in this camp. And I think it's the only way to do it. He's going to go out here on Friday. He is the underdog. This guy he's fighting, Zelfa Barrett, is Eddie Hearn's new signing. He's his little golden goose. And he wants him to win. Eddie wants him to win. Let's not bullshit this. So, but to everyone outside of that, it's a real 50-50 fight. But if Eric puts the plan into place, and you know, executes that game plan, there's no reason why he can't go out and beat this guy.
When you talk about the sacrifice that's been made over the last few months, how arduous a campaign has this been? How arduous a training camp has this been? And how unique has it been as well? It's not just this week that's been different. The last 5 months, I'm sure, have been vastly different for a boxer getting ready.
Eric was in a privileged position. He was already training. He was doing his online sessions, and he was tipping away and keeping fit until he got the news that he was fighting Zelfa. So he wasn't starting from a 1 or a 2 out of 10. He was up at a 5 or a 6, which was great. So when we got the green light to meet up and the boxing gyms were open again, he was in good shape. He was ready to go. So we just got plenty of sparring, and he'd done over 100 rounds of sparring. We had southpaws, we'd orthodox boxers, we'd all sorts there. Bigger, heavier lads. and he walked right through every session, pushed himself to the limit in almost every session. So that part is ticked. He's not going to look back and go, did I train hard enough? Did I work hard enough? Everything is done. He has no negativity in his body whatsoever, and no doubts whatsoever. So it's been a grueling camp for him. He's pushed himself very, very hard, but he knows himself that this is the opportunity that he can't let slip. He's going to take it with both hands, as he said, and go out there for it. And I don't think there's any pressure on Eric. Eric's enjoying this. This is a privilege for Eric to go out here and fighting on a show like this. And when he gets out there and he relaxes and he gets the game plan right, we're going to frustrate. We're going to annoy this guy. We're going to make this guy doubt himself. We're going to make this guy lose his will, get frustrated, and start making mistakes. Because they say Eric hasn't got that much experience in the pro ring, but the wealth of experience he has in the ring, full stop, is second to none. You can't buy that stuff. He's travelled all over the world. He's been in the WSB. He's represented right across, so he knows how to handle himself in the ring. This is going to be a 10-rounder. No problem to Eric's fitness and condition. We've done the rounds in sparring. But it's just a matter of who brings the better game plan, I think, on the night. And at the end of the day, it'll come down to who wants to win it the most.
What are the general broad strokes on Eric Donovan's game plan, without giving too much away, obviously?
We're just going to box clever. Eric is a very, very intelligent boxer. He's a slick southpaw. We know this guy doesn't like southpaws, but look, that was the only loss on his record. We're not going to take, that's just a blip on his record. We're not going to take too much heat on that. But Eric just needs to be clever. He needs to frustrate this guy, and we're going to stick to our plan. I can't say too much on, as you understand, but we're very confident in the plan we have. And by the way, if plan A doesn't work, we have plan B to step in, and plan C. So at the end of the day, it's hook or by crook. Eric wants and needs to win this fight. And at the end of the day, Eoin, it is a fight. It doesn't have to look nice. It doesn't have to look pretty once Eric's hand is raised at the end of it.
As a coach, Kenneth, what is the thing that you have to offer most of all? Is it the technical side of things? Is it the mental side of things? Is it tactical? What do you bring to Eric Donovan, and what would you say is your biggest strength as his coach?
Well, I'm only new to this game, okay? I've been on the other side of the roast for so many years, boxing and representing the country. But for me, I don't class myself as an expert or, a legend of a coach or a Gus D'Amato or that like that. I'm new to this. I'm learning all the time. But we have a great relationship with Eric, and he trusts me and I trust him. Both of us being southpaws, I see things that he probably needs to polish up on that I would suggest that he works on. And he listens, small little things. He's a very, very good southpaw as it is. But just adding those little bits and pieces to his arsenal and just being around him. The two of us bounce off each other, we keep each other relaxed. And I think with the same type of personalities, which was a great thing, So there's no real authority figure coming into the gym. I don't be screaming and shouting at him. And that's the beauty of it is he's driven. He's well driven himself. He doesn't need the big stick on his back. He gets out there and he pushes himself to the limit all the time. I'm not just there to hold the spit bucket. I have plenty of experience as a southpaw in the ring against orthodox boxers. I know what works and what doesn't work. And if I can give him some of my expertise and he adapts to that and brings that to the ring, it can only help him.
This is quite a personal thing for you as well, Kenneth. This is not just a coaching gig. This is, as you've mentioned there, the ability to see your friends do well. You're putting in the hours and hours to see one of your best mates actually succeed in the boxing ring. So that elevates this to a whole new level for you personally, I'd imagine.
I think it's the first of its kind, if you like, Even talking to Matthew Macklin during the week there in the podcast, he was saying that he's never really seen that like this before. And look, it's great, it's a great opportunity for me. I had no interest in coaching after I retired from boxing. And, I was helping a few people out here and there. And Eric picked up the phone and he asked me. And I says, yeah, I'd love to give you a dig out and help you any way I can. And it just, a blossom from there, if you like, travelling around the country, getting spars and working together and going abroad, going to England, going to Scotland, fighting. And it's been a great journey he's on. And he really has resurrected himself, from sitting in retirement, finishing with boxing, to come back and to be where he is today. It's you can write a book on this stuff. And this is the opportunity now that he's looking forward to. And rightly so. He deserves this own. He's worked so hard for it. And when the opportunity presented itself, he took him with both hands. He says, yeah, I'm ready to fight Zelfa Barrett on Sky Sports. And it's the perfect opportunity for him to go out there. And I will be nervous, That's I'm human at the end of the day, but I just want to see him boxing to his potential. Because I know I've seen him day in, day out in the gym. I've seen him sparring bigger, heavier lads. I know how good Eric is, and he knows how good he is. But he needs, importantly, brings that to the table on Friday to show the rest of the world how good he is.
How has your friendship developed over the course of you becoming his coach?
It's always been the same, you know. Like I said, like there's no real discipline issues there that I have to bestow on him.
Right.
We still have the crack, but when it's serious mode, it's serious mode. I've known Eric since he was 16, 17 years of age when he came in onto the high performance floor, you know. We've been together all over the world. We know each other as very, very good friends. But it's just me just distilling those little small things that I notice that can go against them and trying to remind them, you know, keep moving the head or keep moving the feet, or small little things that he probably just forgets about. And that's me just in the background, just like a little woodpecker on his head, just reminding him about these small things, because they are important. Even though they're small, they're very, very important, especially in a fight like this. So I'm just there just to torment him at times, just to remind him.
You mentioned getting to know Eric from when he was 16 or 17, being on the high performance floor with him. Do you remember that moment when you met him and you first got to know each other?
I remember his big smile walking in onto the high performance floor, and straight away I knew he was a little devil. He was only 17 or so, you know, and we got to travel around the world together then when he remained on the senior team and I did also. So it was a great connection there, and we were both mad hoors together as well, if you like. You know, we hit the jar hard, and it's all, I suppose, all well documented. You know, the two of us went hand in hand. But this is different. This relationship we have now, we're very positive. We're very strong-willed. Our mindset has changed. You know, we're not into all that madness anymore. You know, they're going out and getting drunk and telling the war stories. That's all finished now. The two of us have switched on. He's getting married. I'm married now with kids. And this is just a different perspective on life and a different perspective on the sport, you know, and something special can happen here this Friday night. And it's even to be part of it is a real privilege for me. And I'm really looking forward to it, because it's all in Eric's hands, you know. He just has to control what he can do. We go back to the talk we had many moons ago in the high performance about how to perform at the highest level. This is Eric now. This is his time, and it's great to be part of it.
It's interesting that you mentioned that you both became more strong-willed throughout the years, because my impression of a boxer would be strong-willed anyway. It doesn't matter what you're doing outside of the ring, to actually get into the ring and put your body on the line against somebody, you've got to be made of pretty hard stuff. Did you feel that outside the ring that wasn't the case, that perhaps the boxer that Kenneth Egan was, the boxer that Eric Donovan was the exact opposite of how they existed outside of the boxing ring? And you mentioned, sorry.
I think when you see a boxer and you hear of a guy that's a boxer, straight away you initially think, oh yeah, well, he must be tough and he must be able to handle himself and he must be, you know. But when you step into a ring, there's that real personal thing that goes on between you and your opponent. And it's not like any other sport in the world where you're stepping into that ring, you're looking across to the corner and going, well, he must be off my head doing this. Because you're going to punch someone in the face and he's trying to hit you. But all your years of training and you know, repetition, you just go into autopilot. And things just happen. And it's beautiful when you get a good rhythm going and you make your opponent miss and you're scoring and it all looks very, very fancy. And that's why I boxed, you know, to do that, to make people miss, to enjoy that kind of fluidity in the ring. That was what I was all about. But outside the ring, as Eric as well, you know, when we finished the boxing, sure, we were two headbangers. You know, we wanted a party. We were looking at the nearest pub in whatever country we were in to let the hair down and celebrate whether we won or we lost. It was downtime, and that was the problem, you see, and that lasted a long time for the two of us. But you know, that's
when you were in those moments, was there ever a time when you looked around and thought to yourself, this could actually end up in a bad place? Or because you were both quite successful at that time, did that cover over the cracks to a certain point?
I think when we started the high performance and the structure was put in place, it allowed the senior champions, if you like, or the top dogs, continue to train at a ferocious pace that the rest of the country couldn't keep up with. So when we went back into the national seniors every year, we were winning the senior titles fairly easy because we were ahead of the rest of the country, if you like. And I thought whether that's fair now, or if it's fair, if it's not fair, but that's just the way it was. So we were getting all the international experience and mixing with the best in the world and then going back then and winning our national title. So you know, I didn't really worry about the seniors because I felt I was better than anyone in the country anyway. And there was no one going to lace my boots. I was too experienced. I was too well educated in the sport. So I never really worried about the senior title at all in the early years. So I was winning them fairly easy. And I got so good because of the international scene I was on for so long, learning from all the different senior boxers in the world. You know, my boxing IQ was much, much higher than everyone else in the country.
And then was there almost a situation when, because you felt you had that higher IQ, you felt that you were able to beat these people relatively easily, that you could do whatever you wanted outside of the ring. Is that perhaps some of the reason for that you thought, well, I can do whatever I want, I can go drinking as much as I want, as long as when I'm asked to train, I do train?
And, personally, like, that was my life right through. Like, I was so calculated in when I could drink and when I couldn't drink, how many weeks I needed off before I felt good again to get back into shape to perform. But the problem was, with my increased drinking, the time between drinking sessions and start of camp got shorter. And I had no problem winning senior titles. I'd have a drink at Christmas. I'd have a drink at New Year's Eve. And obviously, you probably know the seniors would start the end of January into February. So I'm drinking heavily around the Christmas time into New Year's, knowing that I have 4 weeks or probably 5 weeks before I step into the ring. But that got shorter as the years went on. And up to the end of my career there, even against Tommy McCarthy in the end of 2010s and stuff, 9s, it was getting to 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and I knew myself there was an issue, but I didn't want to address it at the time. And I was just putting on the long finger, winning the titles, thinking, well, I'm all right now for another year. I'm senior champion. But inside, I was falling apart slowly but surely.
How does that materialise, the internal falling apart?
It's just, that inner battle I had with myself and that denial that, I need to get my head together here. I need to stop drinking. But I had no acceptance back then that I had a problem with drink, because how could I? I was winning senior titles. I was Olympic silver medalist. But deep down in my gut, I knew there was something wrong, and those benders were getting longer. The period of training was getting shorter. And I was catching up. I remember going to I think it was for a World Championships. I lost out on 2 medals because of me drinking, 2 world medals. We went to a training camp in somewhere before China. And I got beaten by a Swede, Babakar, who had beaten 8 times before that. But I was drinking in a massive bender. We went to a training camp in Germany before we went to China. And I still had the shakes getting off the plane going into the camp. And I wasn't myself in the camp, didn't really perform in the camp. And I was in a big ball of anxiety, hiding in the camp. And that's a camp before the World Championships. That's what I'm talking about, cutting the fine lines shorter and shorter and shorter. And I missed out on the medal. I got to the quarterfinals, got beaten by a guy I should have been, French guy. And I got beaten by Babakar then. And in the World Championships in Milan then in 2010, I got beaten by a French guy, same kind of thing, cutting it real tight before I went into camp. And I knew myself I was losing the battle there. And that's when I obviously, in the August, I'm actually 10 years sober in 2 days' time, which is an amazing thing for me, outside of boxing. Like 10 years without a drink is a massive achievement for me.
Have those 10 years been the longest decade of your life, the shortest? How do you look back on this 10 years now? Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, it's a special time for me because, if I didn't stop 10 years ago, God knows where I'd be today, And I dread to think where I'd be if I didn't stop, because there's nothing out there but just carnage and heartache from the way I was drinking, and the behaviour of it. So it's been it hasn't been all rosy, We have good days, we have bad days. But to be able to sit back and analyse what's going on and have the awareness to make the right choices with a clear head gives me a better chance at life on a daily basis. Whereas at the old Kenneth, I would have just reacted off the cuff, and made the wrong decisions and acted on a whim. But now I'm really firm in the ground. I have a good base. I'm in a good place, and I'm available then to help other people, which is a big part of my life now. Like, working in the therapy rooms and stuff. So being switched on and being honest and genuine and authentic is a big part of my life today.
Because there was a lot of legitimate warnings out there for the general public during the duration of lockdown, that people were left to their own devices. Addicts could have found those few months extremely tough, and I'm sure there have been some terrible stories that we don't know anything about during the few months of lockdown. You're into your 9.5 year going into lockdown and coming up to your 10th year at this point. At the same time, was there any difficult moments for you personally during lockdown when you are at home alone and there isn't exactly a whole pile of normal avenues for you?
No, everyone's lockdown was different, I think. I have a 4-year-old daughter who couldn't go to school, couldn't go to creche, so I spent more time with her. And it was now, don't get me wrong, it's tough, but at the same time, I loved every minute of it. It was great crack getting to play with her in the mornings, because I was there alone with her in the morning because my wife was in work from 6:30, so we had the 4 or 5 hours together with her. We were doing our schooling as much as we could, but and then I'd get me a bit of exercise in. I'd with the restrictions, just short walks, getting the dog. We got a new dog as well. So all these different things helped me through the lockdown. But once the restrictions eased a little bit, allowed me out that little bit further then. And I was doing a lot of therapy on Skype as well, helping people, online. So you have to adapt very, very fast when something like this happens. You can't just shut off from your clients and walk away. So we reached out for as many of them as possible. Now, a lot of them weren't too keen on going on to Skype. They didn't really trust the medium. So that was okay. You have to respect that. But as soon as the restrictions eased, I was allowed back out. I was allowed to contact all these guys personally. We got back into the swing of things. But it was very, very tough. And you hear the stats about the increase in house drinking because the pubs were closed. It's and that's the problem there. Like the house drinking is a problem before the lockdown, but to throw the COVID in on top of it, you have house drinking on a massive scale. Domestic violence kicks off. You have domestic abuse. You have all sorts of things going on in the family home that people aren't aware of, and that's going to be the big struggle now going forward with the pubs remaining closed. Now, I'm not against alcohol. I have my own issues with it. People can go out and have their few points, but I think they need to look at what's going on and weigh up the pros and the cons of opening up the pubs again, getting people back out into their normal routines that they normally are involved in. And because this house drinking, and yourselves, there's no proper measures when you go to a house, vodka and all the sort of stuff that's being thrown around to the house. So people need to be aware of that, that when it's in a pub, it's more controlled. When it's in a house, it's a free-for-all.
And anecdotally speaking, have you noticed an uptick in the amount of cases of people really struggling over the last little while in your role as a counsellor?
Well, alcohol is a big problem in this country and always has been. But, there's other things that are very, very, very problematic as well. Cocaine use is gone through the roof in this country. The drug dealers can't keep up with the supply or the actual demand of it. It's scary, and it's been sold on every street and every corner. And that's another time bomb that has gone off already. It's not even waiting to go off. That's gone off. And that's going to cause massive heartache between addiction and debt collection and violence and all those things that go with that. But, that's just another one that's part of the society in this country, and it's scary.
Just to go back to Eric then, is this something that you often chat about, like both of your experiences of helping other people through their struggles? Like, you're a coach and it's a fighter, and that should be the singular focus, I'm sure, over the last little while. Do you ever get a moment to chat about how far you've come as individuals outside of the ring?
We always reminisce, Eoin, and it's always great to look back at where you've come from, because if you forget about that, that can lead you down the wrong road, And I always have this analogy of you're sitting in a car, a person in recovery, or looking for recovery, you're sitting in your car, and it's all about living in the here and the now. So you're not worrying about what's going to happen in the future, and that just creates anxiety. So you're driving in your car, you're looking at your windscreen, and you're enjoying the view of what's happening at that given moment. That's what I look at life now. Or just any given moment, you're just driving down the road, observing what's happening there and then. And it's a big, huge windscreen you're looking through. But every now and again, you look at the rear view mirror, which is only small, that allows you to look at where you've come from. And you glance at that every now and again just to reinforce where you've come from to where you are in this given moment. And I would say that to clients, and I try and break it down as simple as that, that life is for living in the here and the now, and enjoying what you have, and be appreciated and be grateful for what you have, and grateful for what you're looking for. But every now and again, you look into the past just to see where you've come from, to remind yourself that you need to be careful. You need to be vigilant and aware of what's going on that day.
And is it all sort of looking back at warning signs when you're having those conversations with Eric, when you're looking into that little rear view mirror? Is it always like, look at the past to remember how terrible it was? Or is there ever a moment where you're like, there were actual positives at times as well? Of
course.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, me and Eric have had the best crack ever, abroad and at home. I can sit here and just tell you about stories you've had out on the piss, and you'd have your tears coming out of your eyes. We've had some great times together out on the lash, and we laugh about it sometimes. And it's good to laugh. It's a very good to laugh. It's a healthy thing. But, back then, at the time, we didn't realise the effect it would have had on us. But looking back at it, we had some great times. We're aware of that. But that's put into a little storage box now and put away now. We still have a laugh now today, but there's no alcohol put in on top of that. We're very comfortable in the people we are. There's acceptance there around who we are. And I have no problem accepting that I'm powerless over alcohol. I'm fine with that. It's just not for me. I'm allergic to it. When I drink it, it's not for me. I kind of go off the rails, and I'm okay with that. So I can let other people drink around me. They can drink till the cows come home. But I'm quite content with who I am now and the person I am today.
How much would it mean to you personally, Kenneth, to see Eric get the job done on Friday and to see this boxing career continue on to its next level of heights?
Like we said, a couple of months ago, we were sitting together and Eric had just switched promoters and he was working with Mark, and we were saying, right, what's next? He says, I don't know what's next. I don't know what's next. So we'll wait and see. And it was like, it didn't look too good on, to be honest. We were just sitting there thinking, what's going to happen? And he's getting to that age now where he had to make a decision. Things were going well outside of boxing for him, until the COVID kicked off. So we didn't know where we were going to go until this lifeline was thrown at us. And the opportunity presented itself. And Eric, like I said, was training. He was in shape, and off we went. So this is just a blessing in disguise. And if he does go out, and please God, if he gets his plan right and he wins this fight, then we'll look at something else and look down the next chapter. But I'm not a fan of jumping too far ahead, but it would be the icing on the cake for Eric's career if he goes out here and wins this fight Friday night. And it'll be well deserved. It's not as if he's cut corners and he's hoping for the best. That's not the case here. He's put the work in. He's sacrificed an awful lot to be where he is today. And if he gets his just rewards on Friday, it'll be very, very worth it.
Absolutely. We wanted to get your take quickly on Katie Taylor as well. And Matchroom's Eddie Hearn was on this morning's OTBAM speaking to Shane and Ger. Here he is talking about Katie taking this fight at relatively short notice.
You've got to take your hat off to Katie Taylor. I mean, she'll fight anybody, but she was due to fight Amanda Serrano. Serrano didn't want the fight. And I just said to her, look, do you want me to try Delphine Bassoon? And, when I go back to managers and advisors, everybody knows how rough that fight was at Madison Square Garden. I think even Brian Peters and the team were probably like, Bassoon on 7 weeks' notice. And Katie was just like, yes. The truth is, since that final bell rang and she went back to the change rooms and she even heard that there were people that thought Delphine Bassoon won that fight, she wanted that rematch because she wanted to put it right. In her head, she won the fight. But if there's any doubt, any questions, which there was, she wants to put that out of people's minds. And I think it's quite rare to see a fighter like that jump in at a rematch in such a close fight. A lot of people would say, look, you got the result there. Let's move on. Let's do Brackhouse. Let's do Serrano. But she says, no, I want to do Bassoon again. And it's going to be an amazing event.
Yeah, Eddie Hearn there on this morning's OTBAM with thanks to Gillette. We don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters. You can get that full chat, by the way, back on the OTB Podcast Network right now. The best place to get that is on the OTB Sports app. Kenneth, just on Katie, obviously it's next weekend, not this weekend coming, where this fight is happening. It's a huge one. We'll have plenty of preview next week. But from what you've heard, is she well set? Has lockdown been a positive for her? And is she going to come back in the form that she showed pre-lockdown?
You have to admire Katie, and I think Eddie's bang on. She didn't have to take this fight, This was a hard, grueling fight first time round. And she was fairly lucky in the last round that the bell rang when it did. So for her to step back into that danger zone, now, unless Katie knows something that we don't know, or maybe she wasn't feeling well the week before, or she wasn't 100% going into the fight, we don't know any of that. So maybe she knows something that we don't, that she's taking the fight knowing that she's going to give a different performance and she's going to make a show of what's her name?
Pursuing.
Of Pursuing, yeah. So, Katie knows something if she's feeling that way and wants to take that fight on straight off. But it's going to be a hard fight either way. But that's just Katie all over. She relishes a hard challenge. This is going to be a tough one for her. But again, I'm sure she's been training hard over the lockdown. She knows how good she is. She knows how fit she is and strong she is. But to get the right game plan in place, it could be an easy night for Katie Taylor because Pursuing is not technically advanced. She's strong and she's big and she's rough. But if Katie Taylor, and I've said this right from the start, Katie Taylor, a fantastic boxer, but when you went into the pro game, she still throws too many punches. And there's no power in any of them. Whereas if she was to set herself up and throw one or two feints and then a power shot, she'd have more effect on her opponent. But look, I'm not her coach. I'd just like to see her sitting down her shots a bit more. Instead of throwing 1,000 shots and there's no effect on the opponent, throw a couple of hard shots and get respect from your opponent. Because in that fight, you seen Delphine in the last round, round 10, coming at her like a wild animal coming out of a cage. She had no respect for Katie, and you need to try and get respect early in a fight.
That's interesting. So do you think she has that in her armoury to be able to change her game a little bit more to go for more of a power game? Have we seen that?
I hope so, because it's just it's going to be a long night again. Because it's going to be hard. It'll be a hard fight for Katie either way. But if she boxes clever, sticks to her box and wins the rounds, it should be a nice night for her because she's technically advanced and much superior than Delphine. But again, we know about Delphine. She went to the Olympic qualifiers that time. She got beaten. She said she wasn't well. She was sick previous to the competition. So be interested to see what girl turns up on next Saturday night. It'll be an interesting fight though. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, Kenneth, it's been great chatting to you. Thanks a million for being so generous with your time. Very best of luck on Friday, and hopefully chat to you again soon.
Off the Ball on News Talk.